Joseph Nancy Headley Jr., 11 years.
In memory of Rory Weichbrod, he died in 2010. He was killed by a drunk driver as he crossed the street.
Darius Javon Brown, age 12, May 30th, 2004.
Brian Francis Ross and Emma Grace Jester.
In memory of my brother, Midshipman Scott David Thomas.
In memory of Alyssa Joy Withers, our guardian angel since 1992.
In loving memory of my younger brother, Kevin Durham, age 16.
Memory of David's son.
So I have the honor to introduce our speaker tonight, our keynote speaker. He touches my heart so much. I have the honor to introduce Luke Weichbrod. His brother, Rory, was killed in October of 2010. Rory was doing everything right. He and his friend were crossing the street. They were walking. They were crossing the street, and a drunk driver came along and hit both of them and killed Rory along with his friend. So I will let Luke tell you all about it, but he and his friends and his family started a nonprofit in honor of Rory, Luke Weichbrod, Unfinished Business, and I want Luke to tell you all about it. Please welcome Luke Weichbrod.
Jan, you touched my heart as well. You look just like my sister, and it was a great reminder to see you here tonight. So as you heard, my name is Luke Weichbrod, and a drunk driver killed my older brother, Rory, on October 10th, 2010. I'm very excited and honored to be here tonight, so I apologize if I'm overly smiling. This is just, as emotional as tonight is, it's very important. It's just very important. As Jan just mentioned, my brother was killed as he was walking across the street. A car which was traveling 76 miles per hour sped through an intersection with blinking lights. The driver struck and killed my brother and our friend Adam Hosinski. Will you all do me a favor and say, "Hello, Rory"?
Hello, Rory.
Thank you. You know, it wasn't until I was sitting here tonight that I guess I realized why I say that every time I talk to a group of people. And it's because of the procession. Saying the name is so important. You know, the people who aren't here with us tonight, they're not a number, they're a name. They're a person, they're a memory, they're a spirit. So thank you very much. So another reason I do that is because we keep going, you know, as goes your son, daughter, mother, father, or friend. We are here to keep their names alive because they saved us. They taught us to be aware of how much we love one another and need one another, aware of the important issue and the fact that it is 100% preventable. The driver that killed my brother was sentenced to 20 years, with 8 of those years suspended, for killing 2 26-year-old boys. Some people hear that and they think it's a lot and that it's amazing, and it really is. He did get a harsh punishment, but others are shocked that it is so low. That is the problem. There's a big disconnect. As a family of victim family members, as we are all here tonight, we need to bridge that gap between those that have been affected and then those that are yet to be affected. You know, ever since my brother was killed, I consistently find myself changing the answer to the end of this sentence. The worst part is, and that answer changes a lot. I often think of it as the endless superlative, because depending on the day or the circumstance, my ending to that sentence changes. If you were to ask me that question today, my answer would be twofold. First, the worst part is, my brother was guilty until he was proven innocent. And secondly, the worst part is, the driver of the car that killed my brother legally possessed a driver's license following my brother's death. He legally possessed a driver's license after the investigation had confirmed his speed and actions that evening. And he legally possessed a driver's license after he himself pled guilty prior to his sentencing date and being incarcerated. At no point was the driver's license even suspended. To the best of my knowledge, the driver will be permitted to drive following his release from prison. That, to me, is really, truly unacceptable. Like, when I inquired about it, at the sentencing hearing, I specifically asked the judge to invoke this person to never be able to drive again. When we're young, we're taught that driving is a privilege. It's not a right. How can this man that killed another person while driving a car ever have that privilege to drive a car? I'll never understand it. I was told it's not a judicial issue. That's what the Judge Roop told me that day, but rather an MBA issue that needs resolution to correct this glaring mismanagement of policy. It's easy for me to talk about Rory when people ask. It was wonderful to hear Jan talking about Rory. That is why I do what I do. It makes me feel amazing. Because if I wasn't on an average day, every once in a while, Rory's name will come up less and less, unless we talk about him. And you guys talk about your family members. But the problem is, when you're with someone that doesn't know your story, and it just comes up. Someone asks you, how many kids do you have? And if so, what are their names? How many siblings do you have? And if so, what are their names? You are going to tell them and ruin their day when you tell them, I have 4 siblings, but only 2 are with me. It's not their fault that someone selfishly drank and drove their car and killed your loved one. My point is, there will always be difficult situations, but you should embrace them because you never know the meaningful connection that can spark from a simple conversation about a loved one who is no longer with us. Just before we began this program tonight, I met a couple people up front here that I'd never met before, never spoken before, but our conversation, we connected everything we were talking about the other person was thinking. They think about it just as much as we think about it. All of us think about it all the time, but we don't have that person to talk to about it. That's why we're here tonight. We're a family. If you take a look around, the room is pretty crowded, for a Thursday evening when the weather wasn't all that great to begin with. If every Marylander of a victim of an impaired driving incident were here, it'd be there wouldn't be enough room in here. On the website, it says there's 175 people that die every year. Yet there's only 75 pictures that scroll. There's only 75 pictures that scroll. Every name, every person, every story counts. We're not alone. We can learn and we can share with each other to build a stronger and safer community. Sometimes life is going to hit you in the head. We owe it to Rory to have faith. I love what I do. It is really important to me. It's not a job or a career. It's rather a calling or a mission. It's just a hobby, I guess you could call it. Following Rory's death, my family and I shared a common dream that no one should ever have to feel the pain that we feel. We established a foundation called Rory J. Weichbrod Unfinished Business, Inc. I firmly believe that the culture of alcohol in our community needs to be changed, and that change will positively reflect how many lives will be saved in the future. Selfishly, I want to fix our area first, my home, Maryland, D.C., and Northern Virginia. It is where I live, and more importantly, it is where my family lives. I do not want anyone else to get hurt. It is important to fix the problem as a whole by starting local and perfecting it. An example I thought of is, when you're on an airplane and you're told that safety instruction to put your mask on first before you try to help anyone else. Because if you don't save yourself first, how are you going to be able to save anyone else? We cannot lose, because impaired driving is not an issue that money can be thrown at, because there's no research to be done. It is done in the families that are missing someone at their dining room table. I would like to thank everyone here that made this evening possible, and that's each and every one of you that's here and here in spirit. Especially our police officers that are on the front lines day in and day out. They see it every day, just as we think of our loved ones every day. Thank you for everything. I know many of us that today is not easy. You may have been dreading it all day. Believe me, I've been there. This is an emotionally exhausting event, but it's an incredibly important one. Because as I said before, we are a family. I really want to stress that point. We are a family, no matter what, because we are all loved ones that have had to live with the loss of a loved one at the hands of a drunk driver. We are locked as a family forever, sharing the bond of losing a loved one to a 100% avoidable crime. Thank you all very much.
Luke, thank you for coming out tonight and sharing your heartfelt story of your families and your own personal tragedy. It's our hope, and I'm certain that the families here can all appreciate and certainly are here to provide some measure of comfort for you, and we thank you for coming out tonight.